Hey y'all, it's me, Brianca Jay, your host, and I want to thank you for coming to my little corner of the internet. Before I get started, you guys might hear some thunder, you might hear some rain, some pitter patter. It's looking like it's going to be a little storm brewing right here in my hometown, so hopefully you enjoy it. I love a good stormy night, so hopefully you do too. And if you don't, I hope it's not too distracting for you. Today I want to talk about a book I've been reading, I've been loving. It's 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. It's awesome. It really is. Before we get started, I also want to go ahead and ask you guys that if you love what I do and you want to see me show up a lot more often, then please make sure you comment, you like, you subscribe to the channel. Really helps the algorithm, which in turn helps me, because YouTube is very vigilant about people supporting you before they can, share your page or monetarily support you in any way. So, the subscribers do add up, and eventually I think I have to hit 1,000, right, to get verified here. And so we're only about 260 people away. So if you're not one of the family yet, just if you could please, that'd be great. Without further ado, let's get into this book. I've been loving this book. It's actually been something that I've been listening to in the gym lately. I haven't really wanted to listen to a lot of music. I've been wanting to kind of stimulate my mind while I'm in the gym. Sometimes I can listen to music and I find that I get distracted and I get to singing and stuff like that. But I've really been enjoying this change where I'm listening to this book and getting acclimated with some new ideas, and it just kind of hits different. So if you haven't ever tried that before, next time you hit the Stairmaster, go ahead and turn on your book, your audio book, and check it out. You might really enjoy it. In fact, I think this particular book you can listen to the whole thing on YouTube. I'm not sure. I'm listening to it on Audible, so don't quote me, but you may be able to listen to it on YouTube. Okay, so what I want to talk about first is just like the first part one of the book, where he talks about like your war with self, and then I'll do 4 different parts. So it'll be a 4-series video. But some of the things that he also has is like this opening forward, and if you guys don't read the opening forward, I highly suggest you do, because this book really helped you to kind of wrap your mind around what you're going to read, right? And he's just like, listen, a man who wants peace knows war intimately. So like, you should never feel bad about studying war, because in studying war, you're really studying strategy. You're studying human nature. And in this book, we're not learning how to, kill and be an assassin and be, wasteful with human life. It's actually teaching us how to be strategic and clever, and to strike quickly with the least amount of people getting hurt in the process. And it's so good. So early in the book, he compares the 2 Greek gods, Athena and Aries. And if you guys know Greek mythology, I love Greek mythology. Sorry, this really warmed my heart. But Athena was the god of war, and I think Aries was too. But Aries was very brash. He was very quick. He was very much a soldier, right? He didn't really think through his battles. He wasn't very strategic. On the other hand, Athena, very slow into battle, didn't even keep weapons on her, but was always very clever, very strategic, and just a wonderful marksman. And so early on, he tells us to think with the cleverness and the strategicness of Athena. You shouldn't be the person known to be riled up. You should be known for subtlety, the subtlety of war. So yeah, that reeled me in really fast. Then we go into the first part of the book. It's 4 chapters where he really talks to us. He gives us these great stories that help us think through these ideas, right? So it's Robert Greene. So if you've read the 48 Laws of Power, even the Art of Seduction, a very similar format. So the first chapter is like declare war on your enemies. He says declare war on your enemies, and he gives us a story back in like the early BC. Greek mercenaries go into Persian territory. Their leader died and they have nothing to fight for. Surrounded by the enemy, they had to become a concentrated force fighting their way back home. So the only thing that got them through is that they were focusing on survival and this prospect of getting home to their family, right? That's what got them through. And so for us, he says, declare war on your enemies. And right, this is about having war on yourself. So declare war on your procrastination, declare war on your gluttony, declare war on whatever you feel like is holding you stuck in life, and like declare war on it. Like make it the idea of it's either you or me, right? From like it is like whatever it is. Make it like this is gonna stand in the way of my life. It's life or death. If I can't conquer this, right? And so he says, you cannot swing a sword without knowing what to hit it with. It's you against the world and it's you against yourself. Fight your inner demons. Do not let your mind, your emotion, and your ego control you. Know yourself, and external enemies won't be able to harm you. You can stand up against anyone. So that's the first thing he says. Know yourself and know your weaknesses, and then declare war on them. Once you conquer yourself, it's going to be so much easier to conquer everything that is around you and that's holding you back in the world. The second thing he says is do not fight the last war. He says like what has worked in the past may not work again, right? So don't hold on to how you won your last chess game, how you got your last job, how you did anything, right? More so focus on how you can do something different this time. Like focus on your enemy more than you're focused on your last war, right? If you lost, you'll be too afraid to fight again. And if you won, you'll be too high on that victory to fight with all your might. So he says pretty much the best thing you do is to forget it in totality and to adapt to the current times, be ever changing and ever evolving. He uses the story about Miyamoto Musashi, and he's like one of history's most dangerous samurais. And they said that the reason was because he used to always switch up his fighting patterns. So at one point, an army comes to fight him, and he arrives hours late, and the people are infuriated. The second time they fight, he arrives early, and he watches them, and then he leaps out of a tree, and he wins that way. And then he even has to fight another man at one point. He shows up late. He doesn't even bring a sword. He fights him with a wooden oar, right? And each time he wins. And they say it's because every time he was changing his tactics and keeping his opponents guessing and on the defensive. So he says, always be different. Always be switching up. And then he even had this quote from George Bernard Shaw. The only man I know who behaves sensibly is my tailor. He takes my measurements anew each time he sees me. The rest of the world go on with their old measurements and expect them to fit me. So always be new and open to the new possibilities that face you. Don't live in the past. 3, amidst the turmoil of events, do not lose your presence of mind. So he talks about you have to stay alert. When everyone is in an uproar, and he says, do not be intimidated by chaos. Do not panic. You seek out the conflict, reacting swiftly when the opportunity presents itself. So he talks about just never really losing presence of mind, staying very focused on your activity. He gives a lot of different stories. But he talks about one particular time in 1801, Lord Nelson had this really hysterical commander who wants to back out the war, and he didn't do it. I think the signal came, and he was like, I don't see the signal. And they were like, what? And he just pretended like he didn't see the signal. because he just thought that the guy was acting irrationally and too emotionally. He stayed in battle, and within less than 1 hour, his army was able to defeat the Danish army. And that was because that the Lord Nelson, one, was bold enough to, yank from the chain of command, but two, also remain present in peace of mind. So he talks about being present in mind at all times. Don't lose your cool, because when you lose your cool, you make dumb decisions. And that's just what it is, right? If you are scared, you're going to exaggerate the abilities of your opponent. If you love someone, you're going to be blinded to their actions. If you are desperate, you will do anything to win, right? So being aware of this, you have to also be really cool and of sound mind to make sound decisions. Then the final thing he tells us in part 1 is create a sense of urgency and desperation. Sink all your ships. Have you ever heard that one? He talks about never seek comfort. Don't wait for the right time. You'll never fully be prepared to start. So just do it. They say when you're backed up against the wall is when you will fight the hardest. When you have nothing to lose, you are more bound to win, right? Because you're throwing yourself at this action and you don't have a plan B, right? You're uncomfortable. And this is the only possible solution you see for yourself. And so he says to treat life that way. Be uncomfortable, be desperate, back yourself up against the wall. Because when you do, you're more likely to fight, claw, and scream your way to the top. And you guys, if you're not reading this, get on it. I'm only on part 2, so we still have time to read it together. But I will be coming back very shortly with the second part of the book, when I think it's talking about war within groups, like how to lead groups, how you will influence groups. This book is so good, guys. Like, I'm just taking it all in. Is crazy. That's why I love doing this channel, because it gives me opportunity to think about what I'm reading and to synthesize it and talk to you guys about it. And it helps me retain the information better, and really reflect on it. But I think the book is a really easy read. It's really brilliant. I actually like it a whole lot more than I've ever liked 48 Laws of Power, for sure. And I think it's really underrated. I think the book I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, but it's chock full of some really, really awesome information. So guys, check it out. If you've read it, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And then, of course, I will be back shortly with a brand new video. Toodles! Make sure you hit the description box to check out all the good stuff in the comments and let me know. Talk to y'all soon.